I spent 724 days alone in high school, and it was not very fun. Coming out of middle school, it was decided that I was going to switch school district. I wanted to have a fresh start and go to the school that my brother went to since he had such a great time there. I was really optimistic. I was excited to meet new people, make new friends, go to parties, and just have a great high school experience. I transferred into the new school and actually had some old acquaintances from my old one. We would hang out and chat during breaks as we waited to find our own spot in the school. We weren't the best of friends, and we all knew we would eventually branch out in our own different ways. I was so excited to meet new people and have a sense of companionship at my new school. I do remember the first time my friends stopped showing up to our little area. It was just one friend, and I was a little jealous, but I was also optimistic that he found a group so soon. It made me excited for my future, but of course a little worry crept in the back of my mind. Then soon after, the other friend left and he had found some new friends. I was happy for him, and I was glad that he found where he fit in the school. I still didn't have my group or any pals to mess around with, but positivity was in my mind with a growing sense of worry. I remember where I would sit. I'd purposely face the wall so no one could see me or no one would pay attention to me. Sure, they could see the back, but they weren't facing my face, so hopefully they just wouldn't notice who I was because I was so embarrassed to be me. Classes would get out and they'd pass like right next to me, so I'd try to turn away in hopes that no one would look my way. My temporary spot would become much more permanent as I stayed there for a couple of months, burying my face in my phone, hoping that no one would notice and judge me. I would try to switch places where I sat when I could. I would hide in the bathroom stalls when I arrived to school and sometimes during break. It became a tradition in the morning, arriving at school and immediately going to the bathroom. I would then supplement my afternoon bathroom retreat with a trip to the library to get some work done. The good news is, since I went to the library so much, I never came home with homework. During lunch, I would often sit in the same spot that I used to because I became really accustomed to it. After a few months, the side glances can get really tiring and the judgmental looks plagued my mind, so I needed to move spaces. Turns out there was a small patio behind the library that was somewhat isolated with a few kids occasionally hanging out there. At first I was worried about those around me, that they would judge me, but they never really seemed to notice or care about me, so I did that in tandem. I would spend most of my time there watching YouTube videos or jostling homework around in my lap because the library tended to be either closed or full. Some days would be so cold and I would just want to retreat to the warm library, but either every seat was filled or it was closed as I shivered outside staring at the clock waiting for the bell to ring. Classes could be a struggle as well. I remember specifically science class was extremely hard because I would hear the dreaded words, "All right, it's time to get into your groups." My heart would sink and my face would burn red. I loved it when the teachers manually assigned us groups, but this was rarely the case because the class would beg the teacher to have their own groups with their friends. As groups would form, I would swallow my pride and go around asking if I could join them. They were usually full, and sometimes I would have to go to the teacher who would announce to the class if any group had an opening. I would just trudge over, staring down as the class's eyes were on me. I just wanted to cry from embarrassment. Depending on the group, I could sometimes fit in and join the conversation, but I would often freeze up when they started to talk about parties or any social event. It seemed everyone was invited, and they would just talk about their great time that they had as I either did work for the group or just pretended to look busy so no one would ask me about the party that I obviously didn't go to. It was just a really awkward conversation and I just tried to avoid it as much as possible. During senior year, my only goal was to finish school. At this point, I was wrecked with agoraphobia, panic disorder, and depression, so I missed many days of school. I just wanted it to be over, but I had to sit at my bench and wait idly as the days slowly passed by. I remember the last day of school very vividly. My last class was a teacher's aid class, throwaway class, and I decided I was going to skip and walk out the school gate past the supervisor in a final act of defiance. It was the last day of school. They weren't going to do anything to stop me. They weren't going to tackle me. They would just let me go, more than likely. I was staring at the open gate, moments away from freedom, ready to escape this nightmare. I stood there trembling and sat down on a bench, trying to build up the courage to leave, but I just couldn't do it. I felt trapped and begged my mom to call and have an absence note be written for myself so I can leave. I couldn't just walk out of this prison on my own terms, and I was too scared to face this guard that would have probably just let me go since it was the last day of school. I felt nothing but shame and worthlessness because I couldn't even do this tiny act of defiance for all the pain the school has caused me. I've reflected a lot on this experience, and I have some insights and some tips for those going through a similar situation. I don't have all the answers, and I'm still trying my best to figure out what I'm doing with my life, but hopefully I can give you a little bit of insight here. So let's start with some practical tips for those who want to meet some other people. Joining clubs in school is a good idea. I was constantly terrified to go to a club meeting because I'd be walking in alone, and it's something that I never tried and feared way too much. Only later in my life did I learn that anything worth doing is usually a risk. So try your best to check out some clubs and maybe you'll find one that you like. And the second tip is when meeting new people or going to a new school or a new class, you have to introduce yourself first. Easiest way to do this is to look over to the other person, say, "How's it going? My name's blank." That usually gets the ball rolling. And from there, you can talk about classes, teachers, majors, or anything else that seems relevant. This really did carry me through my college years and help me meet some new people. I had some really great conversations with new people that I never met, and I would talk frequently to during class from then on. I've also had people who've given me the cold shoulder, and it just happens. Don't take it personally. Everyone has their own shit going on in their head. Just try your best to be the introduction because no one else wants to make that first move, so you have to. Some more broader tips are the standard be yourself and don't be so hard on yourself, but these cliches don't have enough depth and I want to give you a little bit more insight into it. I would say be unapologetically yourself, and by that I mean, don't apologize for being who you are. Don't let anyone make you be something that you don't want to be. Throughout high school and throughout most of my life and still now, I still don't know who I am. So your best bet's just try to be a nice person, try to be a caring person, and the rest will follow suit. There's no words that can necessarily describe who a person is, so just try to be nice. Life's really hard. The second point is try your best to minimize the negative self-talk. Try to give yourself some more compassion because you really do deserve it. We can all be really hard on ourselves and this will only cause more self-hatred. I really tend to hate myself, especially during rough days, but I try my best to look at the progress and the little things that I'm getting done, even though I don't feel the best about myself. Being aware of when you're being hard on yourself and reframing this thought can really help out in the long run. I wish I can help everyone and just get people out of the situation that I was in, but this is the best advice and insights I can give you based on my experience, and I still have so much to learn. If you're going to take away anything from this video, please take away this. Try your best to be compassionate towards yourself because you do deserve it. You are a very strong person and you will do great things. I can promise that. Well, yeah, that's it. I'm going to skedaddle out of here. Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.